da, 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 da,
Oh no. I think it gets worse the more effort we put into it.
I think it went great.
Oh, I loved it. It's March.
Can you maybe take that recording and the first one and maybe the one we recorded a year ago and play them all together? And see what happens.
Just a chorus of horrible
Wait, play them
sounds.
at the same time?
Yeah.
The thing is,
That's how you summon a
couldn't
demon.
figure out how to.
Yeah. You know, we're not even in the tournament, so maybe we F around and summon a demon. See what happens.
Cody's at the parents' house recording, and parents are probably upstairs just here. We're gonna F around
Play
and
them at the same time and play them backwards.
This is rock bottom. Just see what happens. Well, alrighty then. We got some March Madness predictions to make, as well as specific predictions pertaining to the Big Ten teams that are in the tournament. We also got a mailbag question to address. So let's just go ahead and get right into that question, boys. So, for our mailbag today, KB says, what's the best one dull moment, the opposite of one shining moment, in March Madness history? Either of you boys got an idea to start us off there?
I've got two thoughts for it, but first is I love that KB just comes in with that Michigan fan energy, looking for the dull moment, because just the letdown of March that it is for Michigan fans. First one, the obvious one that comes to my mind is the timeout that wasn't a timeout for Michigan.
Gotta be.
Chris Webber calling the timeout, didn't have a timeout. That was an all-timer, but it wasn't necessarily for me. It was kind of before my time. Two others that I think of just as Michigan fans. One was personal when I went and watched Michigan play UCLA, and just the downfall of that. I just re-listened to our episode where we talked about that and 2 years ago now, and it was just miserable. I have videos of my reaction as Michigan lost that game down the stretch, and that was one dull moment for sure.
Yeah, I have a few. So, Brandon, why don't you go ahead?
I have a question
and,
for Travis.
Say
Was
yours, so I don't steal it.
I might not be able to say this on the podcast. Was it the UCLA game that you called me after the game? You were in the elevator, and when I said hello, your answer was, "Is Juwan retarded?"
For the sake of the pod, I definitely didn't say that.
Well, if that's the case, we can leave it in then.
But yeah, I did call you. I don't remember my exact words, but as I was walking out, I just needed to vent, and so thank you, Brandon,
I think
for allowing me
I
to vent
gassed
there,
you up a little bit because I was
ridiculous.
Probably just as frustrated, just not there in person.
Well, that podcast I listened to from 2 years ago, we were having the same conversations about Juwan then that we were now. And the funny thing is, we sounded almost the same exact way. And Brandon, you were the voice of like calm then as well, like saying it's okay, give him some time. It's been 2 years, Brandon, and that is your same message.
I remember being pretty upset about that game, but was it also that game?
Oh yeah,
that
you were.
Franz Wagner airballed a game-winning three, and there was no one within almost 5 yards of him. He was just standing by himself on an island, like, okay, I guess I'll shoot. And he played probably his worst career game that day, and we lost by like 2 or 3. So that was rough.
Yeah, that was funny too, listening back to that old pod, because we were talking about never let Franz shoot a three again, and now look at him. He's a great NBA player.
I think the important question from that callback is, if Brandon said the R word, do we get to put a content warning on this episode?
Yeah.
Sick. Love when we get to do that.
I think there's only been listed like 2 or 3 episodes where I clicked the explicit, just mostly just for kicks and giggles. But I'm gonna put it on this.
Sometimes because we can't control B Dizzle over there.
Yep. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
Pull the records on that one. My March sadness, or what was it called? March dud.
Yes, please.
My one dull moment. This is
one dull moment.
A moment I think of often, and then it makes me think of myself as I'm just a hypocrite. I promised myself I wouldn't go back, and I do. And this is when Wisconsin was in the national championship game against the Duke Blue Devils, and the whole world wanted Coach K to get his whatever, like 4th title or something, or 3rd title, because it would cement his place as an all-time great. And Wisconsin was outplaying Duke, and at halftime, instead of going to the locker room to coach his team, Coach K spent his time telling the refs what they needed to do better. And in the second half, the Wisconsin Badgers weren't allowed to play defense. Justice Winslow was able to barrel into the lane like a fullback running up through the line of scrimmage, throwing his head down, his arm out to stiff arm, and it was a block every time. It was never a charge. And probably the most egregious officiating I've ever witnessed after the game. This is also someone who hates Wisconsin. I was preying on Wisconsin's downfall then, and I do it now, and yet I was so disgusted by the absolute partiality shown by the refs towards Duke. It was a fixed game, and I told myself I would never watch college basketball again. I was strong for a little bit, and yet here I am podcasting about it, watching it. I didn't watch the NIT tonight, so there's a little bit of strength shown, but that wasn't about the refs. That was about the players and coaches.
That was I think, the angriest I've seen you after a game, Bran. I know you and Cody, after the Michigan playoff football game last year, spent some time out on the swings together. Just venting. I'm sorry, Code. But the Wisconsin-Duke game, I think, was the most anger
what's so
I
frustrating
witnessed
is
from you after a
college
game.
Sports, in my opinion, is the most pure version of sports, which is why I tend to prefer college basketball over the NBA, college football over the NFL. And you take something so pure and so beautiful, and you taint it, you ruin it. It makes me want to barf. It makes me want to throw up when people ruin something so beautiful. You're the worst people in the world. You're up there with just the scum and villainy that you'd find on Mos Eisley's Cantina. So, yeah, I hate refs that ref games for one team over another, and I'm not afraid to say it. Scoundrels.
Yeah, I think you even called me after that game, and you were like, that stupid short ref is such a midget idiot. I think that was your exact words.
We are really working for that content warning, boys? What else can we say real quick?
Honestly, that sounds
any
like
other
me.
slurs
I'm
you can
just
think
quoting
of?
Brandon.
He didn't have to own it.
I did Trav dirty, so he can return the favor.
Oh man.
It was probably more like that bald ref.
Canceled again.
He's just, I hate him. Bald and ugly.
Sure, Brand.
It was about
That does sound about right.
It was about a year ago where we had our episode titled "The Boys Get Canceled." So,
we were anytime
overdue.
we claim to get canceled, those are some of our best episodes. So, I don't know. Maybe we keep towing that line.
We need to go more
so-
explicit.
Maybe. Sorry, Mom. So I have 3 that came to mind. First one that first popped into my mind was the Louisiana, or the Louisville incident with Kevin Ware snapping his leg. Most gruesome basketball history in college basketball history, happening on the big stage. I think it was the Elite Eight. Just absolutely awful. And then, of course, everybody and their moms are cheering for Louisville to win the Natty over Michigan. There was no, and it had to be because for Kevin Ware. So everything about it was disgusting.
Really quick.
Another thing that popped into my head
when they zoomed in on his shin bone sticking out of his leg, and then people photoshopped Rafiki holding up Simba like it was Pride Rock. Man, that's some dark humor right there, but whoo-wee!
That's so dark.
I can't believe I laughed at it.
I can't believe people did that.
Gotta love the internet.
Oh, yeah?
That's the type of thing, like, maybe you do now.
No, I was like,
but like, it did not take them long at all to bust those memes out. Yeah. People are ruthless. But yeah, that was gruesome. That was horrendous to watch. I also thought of the cancellation of the March tournament in 2020. I remember when we first got news of that, Brando and I were actually living in the same house at that point. And I came home from work and I saw him just lying prone on the ground, face down, and he stayed that way for several minutes.
It was close.
Like many minutes. I remember. I won't say half an hour, but it was decently close to half an hour. And, Mom was concerned. I knew what was going on. I had gotten the notification, but it just sucked. There was no college basketball in March. Everything was canceled. And, I get it. There's obviously a good reason for that. But, I mean, you think of, like, Cassius Winston was in his senior year. Michigan State was primed for a really good March. And it's kind of a bummer not to see what they were able to do. Of course, there's plenty of other teams thinking the exact same thing. That was a major dull moment in March Madness history. And then one that I just particularly like, going back to 2016, we have the colossal fall apart of Northern Iowa. So I don't know if that was the same year or not that they hit a beyond half-court shot to continue their March dreams, or if it was like a year removed from that. But there was some hype around Northern Iowa. And in the round of 32 in 2016, they were up 12 points against Texas A&M with 35 seconds left. And so they had a 99.999% chance of winning that game. And they had 4 turnovers in that last 35 seconds and allowed A&M to get back and win it. 12-point lead with 35 seconds left. That's why you never stop following, kids. But people were tweeting, like LeBron tweeted that he would just quit basketball if that happened to him. Like, it was just so depressing. But it was kind of amazing, too.
Gordon Hayward, in, I believe, 2010 against Duke, he had the opportunity. Was it the national championship, right?
Yep.
For Butler.
It was.
Yeah, yep. About half
would
court
have
or
been
so.
The greatest shot of all time.
It looks like it's going to bank in and just barely missed. I think they did a sports science on it back when they did sports science with, what was it, John Brinkus? And they calculated that he missed the shot by like an inch and a half. Like, they're able to look at like the angles. Like, if it would have hit like here, like 1 inch over, it would have went in. And I'm just like, because another Duke championship, just that close from being taken away, it would have been the one shining moment that would be played over and over on the happy side rather than the depressing side. So that's another dud right there. It had just almost the best shot of all time in March Madness.
I promise we're gonna start talking about the magic of March here. We're getting off on kind of a depressing foot, but I'm gonna end it with one last breaking news. It's not the happiest, but if you look at it as happy, it's looking like the Jamal Williams era with the Lions is officially over tonight. The Lions are looking to sign David Montgomery, the running back from the Bears, who is a very good running back.
Doesn't matter.
all week it was sounding like Jamal and his agents and the Lions just weren't very close. And then with the signing of Montgomery today, I don't think there's any realm of possibility we bring in Jamal now that we signed a big running back. So that's a big one. We're going to need to spend some time on that in the future because I think there's a lot of implications for this team.
Yep.
I think Jamal is more than just a running back for this team, but that's not for today. Just the breaking news is for today. Something to ponder on. The sad part is Jamal, the heart and soul, gone. The good news is we are getting a very good running back. And let's use that to propel into talking about the magic of March Madness rather than the dullness. The magic of March Madness begins. Well, when does it technically begin? I say the first round. The play-ins don't even count to me.
Yeah, because that's not the tournament. They're literally playing into the tournament. So I think that's pretty generally accepted by anybody who knows ball. So
even when you fill out a bracket, like you don't even have to have your bracket done until the play-ins are done.
Well, you can't even pick between those teams because it doesn't matter. It just says this team / that team.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it starts Wednesday. Thursday. I was like, oh crap, that's tomorrow. Thursday. And I am so pumped for it. How do you guys want to kick off kind of breaking it down? Do we want to just really break down some of our sleeper picks, best games, Big Ten?
I think we'll get into Big Ten later, but maybe best games, sleeper picks. I don't know. Do we want to talk about like our Final Four teams?
Yeah, I don't
Yeah,
want
for sure.
to.
But not yet. Yeah, okay. I texted you guys after I filled out my bracket the first time and saw who I had in the Final Four and just said nope and started immediately over. And I like Brandon.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't like my Final Four, but I'm committing to it, I believe. I don't think I'm going to change anything from here on out.
The one thing I don't like, I need to fill out multiple brackets because I have my heart picks, and then I also have my picks that I think will get me the most points. Because when your heart picks are off, you leave so many points on the board. And I hate to say it, but when you pick mainly chalk, statistically, like you just have a better chance of getting things right, even if you're going to miss a lot of upsets. So I don't love my Final Four. It's going to have to take it might have to take a little bit of amending, but I think the exciting thing about this March is that nobody really knows.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing. That's why I hated my bracket is because my Final Four was pretty chalky. And the second time through, it's still pretty chalky, but like you were talking about, Code, when you fill it out chalk, you do have a better percentage chance of getting like more points and winning your bracket challenges if you're in a small group with friends. I just don't find as much enjoyment in that. But at the same time, when I get to the second round and see I've got double-digit seeds playing against each other, I go, uh-oh.
Yeah, exactly. It's not a good feeling.
It would be a great feeling if it happens, and if it doesn't, then it's like, well, this portion of the bracket's just busted.
Yeah, absolutely.
No.
So I suggest we start with our Final Four and
Do
kind
we
of
have
work our
to
way
do
back.
this?
Okay.
I think we gotta have.
No.
I think we gotta have Brandon
prefer
go
not to
first.
talk about my
Brandon,
bracket,
what
'cause
would you prefer?
We can talk
what were you
about
hoping to cover on
maybe
this
some
pod?
Cinderellas, some Big Ten hot takes. I have never felt less confident in my bracket because I have watched a decent amount of college basketball this year. Like I found myself watching games that I have very little interest in. You know, watching like a Northwestern Iowa game, or like Rutgers could be playing Minnesota and I'd watch it. Okay, yeah, mostly Big Ten. But, you know, I've actually watched some games that are outside of Big Ten too. I have no feel for these teams other than there's a couple teams that I like. There's like, okay, let me see here. There are 2 to 3 teams I like, and I think everyone else sucks.
Let's do that, Brandon.
Yeah.
Give us Give us who you like.
And here's the thing:
And we'll give
early
who we
listeners of the pod may even have, our
Do
picks
not.
might
Do
influence
not
people who are
listen.
still filling out their brackets for the bracket challenge. So maybe it's so maybe it's better if we just talk about matchups we like, sleepers, and what you had discussed earlier.
Yeah, Bran, give us your
All
teams
right.
you like, and
I
we'll
like
from there.
Houston because I think that they have a good coach, and I think that they have the one thing that still wins championships in college basketball, which is a great defense, and they have upperclassmen who are very talented. So I think Houston's the real deal, and I also am starting. I wasn't here before, but I'm coming around on Alabama, where I thought that they were going to kind of fall apart with all the controversy, but it seems like they're just cancel
Got that
Cody.
killer instinct.
It seems like they are playing even like more hard and more focused ever since they've been kind of the center of college basketball angst or controversy. Like people are coming down on them.
That's some manufactured adversity, I'll tell you
I don't know
what.
if you want to say manufactured, but it's a lot of adversity that it seems like as a team, there's like, yeah, we're just going to play ball, and they are killing people. I mean, they just stomped through the SEC this year. So they have a lot of talent. I think they've got a good coach. Maybe not good behind the microphone, but he's a good basketball coach. So, yeah, those are two teams that I'm pretty high on. And everyone else, I'm like, yeah, I don't know. But those are two number one seeds, so it's not like anything new. Like, those are two teams that have had really good seasons. And I think that they have a high likelihood of having a good postseason too. But that I'm not, breaking news or anything there.
Yeah, I agree with both. Alabama, it was hard to pick against them in this tournament because when you look at what they can do as a team, it's pretty impressive. And Houston just plays basketball the right way. They play college basketball the right way. And like you've said, I think all year long, that you kind of cheer for them because of like the way they play basketball. Not necessarily maybe now that they're in March Madness. I always cheer for the underdogs. And if they win, they deserved it. But those two teams, for sure, are hard outs. There's some teams I don't believe in, but just the paths. This tournament is
they
crazy.
End up in the Elite Eight.
You could list a team you don't believe in, and they could reach the Sweet 16. Yeah, Elite Eight. So one team that I've looked into a lot that I do believe in now is Creighton. Creighton's pretty battle-tested this year. I don't believe in their conference as much as some, but, I mean, it's March Madness. They've got veterans. They got a really good coach as well. They play basketball kind of the right way as well, doing all the little things. And I like their route. Like Creighton, they got to get through Arizona, but I mean, I just don't believe in Arizona. Most of the two seeds, like they could go to the Final Four, they could get bounced really early. So a lot of these teams are beatable. But again, I picked Creighton to go pretty far. I think Baylor is one of those teams that plays basketball the March Madness way and can go far as well.
That's a tough draw.
Yeah. Speaking of tough draws, my Oral Roberts got the toughest draw. They finally have a great year. They got a star. They're just built for March Madness, and then they draw the hottest ACC team playing right now in Duke. That just sucks.
And you're not
I
gonna
know
get
Duke
calls
didn't have a
against
great
Duke.
year, but they're playing really good right now. No, you're not. But I'm hopeful that Max Asmus, love watching them play. Watching him play, their 7'5" guy who can put up threes is a freak as well. I hope they can overcome that, but it's hard. Duke has had early exits as a 2 or 3 seed in recent memory, so I'm hoping this is another one where they can get an early exit and Oral Roberts can advance. Code, you got any teams you really like or dislike?
Yeah, I'll throw 2 more teams at you guys. One that I am pretty high on is Marquette, for a couple reasons. So one of those being that Marquette actually beat Baylor, who I'm pretty high on, by 26 earlier this season. Their record against top 25 teams is actually 7-2, which is pretty impressive, especially considering just where we've seen Marquette at this point in the past. They're a team that's firing on all cylinders. One more thing that I think is really interesting is that they are one of the fastest teams on offense. If you look at the little summary of the team, just even on the tournament app, it'll tell you they're one of the fastest teams on offense, and statistically, they force teams to take the longest time against them on offense. And so the difference between their tempo and the tempo that they force other teams to play at is really kind of jarring. It's a difficult pace to play at. They also have Big East Player of the Year, Tyler Kolek. They have a lot going for them. So I think Marquette could be poised to make a deep run. And then another one that I wanted to mention as well is UConn. UConn is one that I wouldn't call a sleeper, being a 4 seed, but probably might have a chance to go even deeper than some people would pick them, just on account of they beat Alabama by 15. This is a team, and Alabama is a team that I think most people, not most people, but there's a good chunk of people that are picking Alabama to win the whole thing. So UConn has a decent middle-of-the-road record against top 25 teams, but they've really come on as of late, and I think they show the ability to hang around. Mm-hmm. It's also UConn, so you can never really count them out. I think they got some massive potential as well. But do you guys have any sleepers that you are eyeing up in particular?
It's so tough because I feel like the committee did this on purpose just to mess with us, with everyone saying, oh, anyone could win. And then they matched it up so freaking perfectly where anybody I think had a real good shot's playing a hard matchup. Maybe that's just March Madness and I'm an idiot. But Kent State, a lot of people were picking to be a sleeper. They got a matchup against Indiana first thing. We got to watch Toledo tonight against Michigan. Toledo is a real deal. And Kent
Are you talking about Drake?
No, I'm talking about Kent State.
Against Indiana? Oh, I'm in the round of 32. My bad. Yeah, sorry. Go on.
Hey, that's a good one. I got Drake, Indiana 2 code.
Do you? Oh, it must actually be a bad pick. We both have it.
We both got it. I do think that.
Well, there's a spoiler for my sleeper.
I think the Drake Bulldogs could be a sleeper as well. I'll let you talk about it, Code, since it sounds like you were going to pick them. But
well, yeah, all it really comes down to is Drake shoots well from 3, and any team that I am going to pick to make a run in March has to have talent behind the 3-point arc. Really, when you're in March, it comes down to who's going to be hot. And if you're not a team that can shoot the ball deep, I think that's sustainable for a regular season, but when it comes to March, you need to be able to shoot the ball deep. And this is also one of the oldest, most experienced teams in this entire tournament. So when you're looking at a team that's going to be poised, that's going to have the confidence, and who's going to have the chemistry, you can't find too many teams that have more of that in abundance.
I got
than
another sleeper for you. No research like Cody's provided, all vibes. As you guys know, my team is Penn State now going into this tournament. I've got a couple teams I picked. My other team lost in the first round of the NIT tonight. And when I cheer for a team, they tend to lose. And Penn State's matched up with Texas A&M. And it has been said that Texas A&M is the greatest 7 seed to ever be a 7 seed. A lot of people were shocked when they saw that seed line. They thought that they were going to be like a 4 or 5. And so I think Texas A&M could be a sleeper. I'm cheering for Penn State, so they're probably going to beat Penn State. And then they're most likely going to have a matchup unless Colgate does something miraculous. They could, absolutely could. But they probably are going to match up with Texas. And when you have like the big in-state school, Texas, who's a 2 seed, they just won the Big 12 tournament, facing off against what should be a lesser team in Texas A&M, it's always hilarious. And it kind of seems to go this way sometimes where the smaller school can have a little bit of an advantage because I think they have nothing to lose. So Texas A&M could be looking at upset of Texas there to go into the Sweet 16, where could be a sleeper.
Yeah, who was that? Who was that team
Texas
last year
Southern?
from Texas? It was like
yeah,
Texas
you're onto
Baptist
something
or
there.
something.
They were who did they beat Texas, right? Maybe that's where I'm drawing this from. That's probably not going to happen
They
2
beat
years
Texas
in a row. Oh man. And they were way smaller scale,
but it happened, and that's even on a smaller scale.
Yeah, my
by
disregard.
far.
I don't think that's going to happen to Texas again. If it does, Texas should fold up the program. But that's a way smaller scale.
That might be a good point. Look at Virginia; they got
Came back with
bounced
a vengeance,
first ever
yeah.
1 seed to lose, and then in the first round,
Yeah.
and then they came back and won everything the next year, right?
Maybe we should be pushing Texas further
So
in. I
watch
don't know.
out for Texas. Maybe they're a sleeper this year.
All vibes.
That's some good analytics there, Bran. Vibe analytics are better than real analytics sometimes. Especially when it comes to the bracket where none of it means anything until they put the ball through the hoop. I picked every 12 seed to win.
Every 12 seed?
Every single one. Not on purpose.
All vibes.
The one I was going to maybe not pick, but I think Mark Titus' show talked me into it a little bit, was Charleston.
I got 3 of 4.
Because...
I don't know what I'll tell you.
Which one was your leave out?
You could probably...
Okay.
Are we going to have another bracket show once the bracket's released, and then we talk about all our picks?
Mathematically, you should probably have 2
I'm not gonna change
4,
mine.
I think.
Mine's locked in now.
I think it happens about 50% of the time. And I kind of like Travis's idea
2 years,
there,
I think.
where even if he gets 2 wrong, guaranteed to get the 2 right. I took that logic on a lot of my picks where I'm like, okay, this high seed is probably going to lose. But then the very next one, it's another game where it's probably like a 30-70 type percent. But I picked both high seeds because I just want to get one of those upsets right. Bad way to fill out a bracket, but it makes it more fun. Travis, I begrudgingly picked Duke to beat Oral. I know.
No, if I wasn't
That was a tough one.
if I wasn't so high on Oral, I would have went that way too, because Duke is playing really well. But I picked Duke the first time just because I was like, this sucks. Kind of like how you felt with Penn State. Like, they're playing so well, and then they match up with a kind of a juggernaut, and they're in that role. But then I went back. I was like, no,
good for you.
I'm following my heart. Oral to the round of 32. However, in the next round, I have 2 12 versus 13 matchups. And that makes me nervous. And I think I just committed to not changing anything. And the more I look at it, I'm like, yeah,
we might need to compare some brackets.
I'm not going
because
to.
we're looking scary similar. Oh, this is such a trash bracket.
Oh, wow. All right. I'm going to list my bottom of the bracket, 12 versus 13 in the round.
I do not have Iona.
Is VCU Iona.
See,
okay.
My vibey pick, it's an anti-vibey pick. I haven't picked VCU to win a first-round matchup in years because way back in the day, they made it to 2016, a dream Cinderella run. And so after that, I would pick them to win at least 2 games just on vibes alone because of that recent success. And they haven't made it to the Sweet 16 or, like, I'm not even sure they've won a first-round game ever since. Like, their record in March is terrible. So now I can't ever pick them again. They have to earn my trust back.
Virginia Commonwealth, home of Ben Wallace, the home of the future Ben Wallace, Brandon Johns,
and our boy Zeb Jackson.
The dude's played. Yeah, if Michigan can't make the tournament, I'm riding with the old Michigan boys. And there was a lot of new Brandon Johns slander this year with like, hey, with how much T. Will sucks, would you want Brandon Johns? And people are like, no.
Yeah.
And I'm saying I would take him in a heartbeat. He had his moments. T. Will never has had a moment. So I'm cheering for him. I want him just to prove haters wrong that he's capable. I want him to go off and be a little bit of a Cinderella. And then I went with Iona because Rick Pitino, people say he's got one foot out the door there, and he's pretty much just waiting to sign the contract of a new school. And people are like, will that mean that they're going to play bad and just kind of, he's out? That's not Rick Pitino's way. He has these boys playing basketball, and they're there to win. And if he's going to go out, he's going to try and go out on top. And again, UConn was good at the beginning of the year. They were one of the best at the beginning of the year. And then they kind of squandered, and I think they showed some of their true colors near the middle of the year. They're playing pretty good now. And UConn's one of those teams where I could be talking like this, and they could go to the Sweet 16 Elite Eight as well.
Let me guess.
That type of bracket.
I think that one of
Brand,
yours
what other...
is Charleston and
okay,
Furman.
Guess it. Yep, and I hate it. So Charleston was the 12 that I wasn't sure about.
I do have Furman.
I hate that pick, and I have.
Do you have Furman too?
I do.
Is it just that we don't believe in the ACC this year?
A little bit. There's probably also some lingering memory of Virginia losing to UMBC, being the first number 1 seed to ever lose that 16 seed matchup. But yeah, ACC is soft.
I think
my that's a losable
process
game.
All year has been to have terrible opinions of teams that Michigan almost beats. And the Virginia game was one of the ugliest games. For as much as Michigan is bad, Virginia also did not deserve to win that game. They were terrible. And every score that I see, it's always like they're winning just ugly basketball games. They're winning, 58 to 52.
Let's flip this and be optimistic. Maybe if Virginia makes a decent run, we can look at it the other way. And Kentucky, another team that we should have beat, and Indiana and Purdue, like all these teams. If any of them make a good run, we can say Michigan
I do not care
to being good.
I'm so tired of woulda, coulda, shoulda.
I knew that wouldn't win you guys over.
Should we mention them real briefly? Just played in their NIT matchup tonight.
I think it was their best game of the year tonight.
Gave up 82 to Mac School.
But as a team, yes. But they did what they needed to do to win. And the rotation was different. Howard stuck with his, a core, 7 or 8 guys. Maybe not even 8. I think 8 or 9 played, but 7 played all the minutes pretty much.
Well, it's winning basketball time. It's in
Howard
March.
Do that.
Time to start playing the good rotations. I was looking through the box score. Kobe Buffkin played 39 minutes.
The thing is, Kobe Buffkin didn't play good tonight, and he still had a Kobe Buffkin line.
39 minutes?
He had a
Did they go to overtime?
I can't offer very much analysis because I did not watch this game because I cared about this game as much as Jet Howard did. But I did check the scores as the game was going. I figured this is a game I can skip on and then hopefully, maybe go just crazy Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. He had 40
Jet Howard
minutes
had 39
on the
minutes too, didn't he, Bran?
On the bench.
Because his ankle is sore.
You love to see it.
I do boo-boo.
So when I first saw it, that he wasn't playing, I immediately tweeted Jet Howard to the NBA draft is official. And somebody bought it and was like,
sources.
Wait, is this official or and I didn't say anything. I still haven't said anything yet because it just kind of I was wondering how to play it.
Watch out, Woj, he's coming for you.
But also I thought maybe he re-aggravated it. There's a chance he did. And then a video surfaced of him playing around before the game, putting up half-court shots, no boot or anything. Just, he looked very nimble. And you know what? It's in his right. If he's going to the draft, get healthy, play, that's fine. But, tell us the truth a little bit. He's not day-to-day. He's going to the draft. He's at least getting healthy for the combine.
He
and
will
for
not.
everything that's
He
coming
will
up
not
there.
test well. I'm just putting that out there.
There's people.
His combine is going to be rough.
I think he shouldn't even go to the combine. Yeah,
Agreed.
I would avoid that if I was him. But there's people defending him on Stu Douglas, one of my favorite Michigan players, was like, "Don't you guys have something better to do? This guy's doing the right thing and protecting himself for his future." And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, but like, Stu Douglas was crapping on people who were saying like the optics were bad." I was like, "Yeah, well, they were." It just, when you're doing stuff like that and claiming it's an ankle when you played the last game on that same bad ankle and didn't do anything to re-agitate it, it doesn't look like a winning team kind of thing.
Right.
And it kind of just
just say what you're doing.
A lot of
be straight up.
People have had this year.
Don't hide behind an ankle.
Yeah.
I mean, if he plays this weekend, then maybe he walk this back. But there's no way his ankle's so bad that he couldn't play in the round 2 game.
If he plays this weekend, I'm also not walking it back. I'm piling on harder because it didn't matter that first NIT game. And now, people are a little bit caring. We got to the second round of the NIT, the Sweet 16 of the NIT. If he plays after this, when he obviously didn't hurt, I don't like it. But at the same time, if you're just straight up like a bowl game and you choose to sit out this postseason play, that's your right, and you got to do what you're going to do to go pro and whatnot. But like, just I don't know. Don't say it's your ankle. I mean, it sounds like it was. It's hard to talk about because it was his ankle, but he literally played on it last week. So,
turning the attention back to the tournament that actually matters and teams that actually matter. We talked about this a little bit, getting into our sleepers. On the flip side of things, are there any highly seeded teams? Highly seeded meaning numbers that are low, because everybody obviously knows that. Any highly seeded teams that you guys think are overrated and are prone to maybe get upset
Speaking
on
of Big
upset
Ten,
watch?
Purdue.
Yeah.
How dare you? The regular season Big Ten champ, the conference tournament Big Ten champ
is
L.
mid.
Wow.
And mid is being so generous. And
That's so
watching
mid.
any of these Purdue
That's
games,
mid-10
they always
too.
get out to these leads, and then they choke it away because the other team starts to press or starts to foul them, and they fall apart. I think if they run up against a team that actually just does that the whole game, like puts a pressure defense on them, forces them with some tempo, they could fall apart. So I'm probably going to be completely wrong, and Purdue's going to finally like break the curse for the Big Ten or something. But I am fading them. I'm just going to put this out there, and I'd rather not say specifics because that's going to give away my bracket. I only have one Big Ten team getting to the Sweet 16. And I only have two Big Ten teams
I gotta guess.
getting out of their first round matchup.
Honestly, we watched the Big Ten all year long. We talked about it all year long.
The issue is that all of these other conferences, I think, other than probably the Big 12, are not good either. Yeah, that's probably the difference right there in our bracket points is how the
I've got 4 in the final 4.
How the Big Ten bracket plays out, like that could be huge. And the one team that I do have advancing to the Elite Eight, I hate it so much, and yet if they do, I feel like it's going to lock up this tournament bracket pick'em for me, which means that they will get bounced in the first to second round, guaranteed. In that case, I won't mind.
Who is it?
I think I know who it is.
Because I got the Fighting Tom Izzos making a run in March. I hate it because as Cody was gassing up Marquette, that what's their coach's name again? Shaka Smart's Havoc defense.
Shaka Smart
is going to give them some trouble. But man, I just can't quit Tyson Walker And I don't know about AJ Hogarth's leadership ability, but if he gets dialed in, he can be a triple-double guy. And they got a lot of talent on that team.
Tyson Walker has the makings of March Madness darling. Like, and Bran, I wanted to say, when you said this could lock it up for you.
Oh, no, you have
thing I
them
wanted to
too?
say was,
All right, I'm
so
changing my
fast.
bracket as we speak. We
'Cause
have
I've
way
got
too
'em-
much in common. Yeah, so do I.
I've got him in the Elite Eight,
What a
baby.
What is wrong with
Ooh,
us?
man. All right. Well,
So that's the thing. Cody's first question was Marquette. Or not Marquette. He brought up Marquette, and his question was a high seed that we didn't believe in. And Marquette's one of those that I'm just like, they just feel like they aren't a real 2 seed. I always view 1 and 2 seeds really high.
Boo.
I just
Boo,
am not
Trav.
there.
That's the question.
I'm just not there with them. In
There's
my
always
vibe
one
check.
or two of
My
those 2 seeds
Vibe-alytics.
that are frauds. And
Forget Ken Palm.
honestly, though,
We got
like,
Vibe-alytics over here. That's all you
is
need.
The truth, first of all. But if you can find out who is the fraud two seed, because there's always a 2 seed that's getting bounced by like a 15 seed or in that second round, and if you can correctly pick that out, that is huge for your bracket. I don't think I have a handle on it. Maybe Cody's got a better feel for it, but the Vibe-alytics, I think, maybe are going with
Brand,
Izzo in March, and Shaka Smart once again disappointing. Hasn't been good since VCU.
I think you're sitting pretty, Bran. I think you're sitting pretty because when you think you got your bracket good, you don't.
It's garbage.
And you're so down on your bracket, yours is going to be good. Code, do you have
No,
Michigan
'cause he's
State
got
in the Final
Marquette.
Four?
I do not.
Marquette.
Yeah, I do indeed have.
And there's the first Final Four pick of the Jonesing for sports.
Oh, hold
We
up,
finally
hold
got
up.
it out of
They're in
him.
his
Hold up!
Elite
No. You said they're not in my Final Four. I thought you were talking about like they have to get through Marquette.
probably
And I was
right.
like, you're right. I don't think they're getting through Marquette. I'm
At
with you.
least.
There's usually one fraudulent 2 seed, but I don't have a handle on. I don't have a handle on who that is either. Like I said, I'm pretty bullish on Marquette. I think Michigan State is a team that could make a run, but this bracket did not play out favorably for them.
You have them getting bounced by
who?
Vermont in the second round?
You want to know a spicy take?
possible.
I have them falling to USC
Oh,
in
Would
the
not be
first round.
could happen.
It could happen. USC just traditionally has a lot of length. I think their defense is going to be pretty stifling for Michigan State. Michigan State is a team that's prone to streaks, kind of like the rest of the Mid-10. So I think that's going to be a tough matchup for them. The Vibe-alytics were kind of going pretty hard for that matchup as well. I was leaning on that pretty hard, rather. And also, I did say that I have 5 Big Ten teams in the round of 32. I had to adjust that a little bit.
You got to keep.
And they're
you
one
gotta
of the
be
ones
pro
that
Big
got the
10.
axe.
This is a Big Ten pod.
I am pro Big Ten,
Okay.
but I am also honest in my work. And I know that this Big Ten is not deep. It's mid.
Exactly.
And-
It's just like when we pick against Michigan. We're cheering for Michigan. I'm going to be
Oh,
cheering
absolutely.
for the Big Ten.
But it's not
Well,
the
if you
same because
watched
if Michigan
them-
State loses to USC, I will rejoice.
Well,
I'm putting that out there. So
We
not
can't
quite the
talk
same.
about. We can't talk
the
about Michigan State
Vibe-alytics
without crap.
are telling you, though. I'm just going to give you one more here, Code. The Vibe-alytics are going to want a matchup of Duke
Okay.
and Michigan State in the Elite Eight. I mean, that is going to be the highest rated game for viewers in probably all of March Madness. And so Vibe-alytics is going to tell you that's a matchup to look out for. Does Izzo get one over on new coach John Shire, or does the Duke curse continue because Michigan State has generally struggled against Duke? So Vibe-alytics does not care.
And that's the thing. I could realistically see that happening. Duke has a lot of talent in the paint. They're going to give a lot of teams trouble. It's going to be a really intriguing matchup. should we see it between them and Tennessee in the round of 32, and then maybe even a date with Purdue in the Sweet 16? That's going to be a really tough matchup for Purdue if they make it that far. Brandon's already shaking his head.
Brandon's so out on Purdue.
Absolutely, they can.
I think they can make the Sweet 16. I'm a little skeptical beyond that. They obviously have the talent, but again, I'm one of those sports fans that you fool me so many times, you have to win me over. It's the same thing with Ohio State quarterbacks in the NFL, right? You've got to prove it to me. I'm not going to be the one saying, yeah, Purdue to the Final Four when
regular
they
season
choke
code.
in. I don't freaking care. None of that matters one iota when it's March.
Hey, two things that matter in March. Having a good inside presence
Not in
is
the Big
important.
Ten.
A lot of teams that go deep have a good inside presence. Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm
the Big
saying.
Ten hasn't went deep since 2000.
A lot of people think that's the
Michigan
reason
State
the Big
won it.
Ten
and
hasn't
Michigan
been able to advance is because they depend on their big men, which doesn't translate to March.
Okay, for my point, having a big guy is important. Plus, having a star is important. National Player of the Year, Zach Edey.
Yeah.
Purdue is the team to watch, Bran. I said that to set you. I said that to set you up.
Yeah,
I know
he's
your
just
thoughts
big,
on
not
Zach
good.
Edey.
The one thing,
Yeah.
that's the thing, though. It doesn't even matter. When you watch teams play against Purdue, he completely changes the way the opposition runs their offense. You can't really get anything going down low when he's there. He forces people to either put up crazy shots or kick the ball back out when they otherwise should be getting an easy look down low. Even if he's not doing anything, he's doing something. So he's going to, at the very least, be causing teams some massive headaches. They have everything that they need to make a deep run. It's just the Vibe-alytics are going
Which is
off
why
the
they're going to the
radar
Final
to tank
Four.
on Purdue. Of all the one seeds. And you know what? If we can do that for our Purdue fans, then good for them, and you're welcome.
I do have one more Vibe-alytics for you guys.
Yes, please.
You guys were talking about. If Michigan State does face Duke, the Vibe-alytics is off the chart for Michigan State to win that. Because in most sports, when the young gun gets his first shot at the old goat wins. And then it's handed off to the young gun after that. Shire hasn't got a shot at the old goat yet. And when he gets it against Tom Izzo, Izzo's going to show him, hey, I'm still the old goat. You're not there yet, young buck. But then the young buck takes over and Shire will be fine. Pencil marker in Michigan State. If we see Michigan State Duke, Michigan State winning that game. Guaranteed lock.
Is this the
if that
reverse
game even
Chiefs?
happens.
Like, what is happening here?
Sorry. Yeah, it's all
Vibe-alytics says
That's
that
all
you're
that
going to get
was.
to halftime of that game. Michigan State's going to be down 10, and Izzo's going to be going, I don't know. I got to tell these guys to guard somebody. Just guard somebody. And he's going to be red-faced and yelling at the refs, and John Shire's going to be looking calm, cool, and collected, cooler than a cucumber, and he's going to be the new Coach K. So his story has to start somewhere. Vibe-alytics, give me the Dukies.
Yeah. Okay, story starting somewhere. Sports in general. Look at quarterbacks in the NFL. Patrick Mahomes
Tom Izzo isn't
lost
a
to the
GOAT,
GOAT.
though. I'm
before
sorry,
he
he's
took
not.
over for the GOAT. Of old head coaches
I don't
left,
know. You see,
he
like,
is a GOAT.
Jim Boeheim is like basically
There's
getting
not many
fired.
left.
Like, like I think that they're
Oh,
in a
that's
similar tier.
crazy.
Sorry, Sparty fans. I'm just saying, like, I think that Izzo isn't to the level where he's going to get calls against John Shire.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see which vibes were checked at that point. And I think it's probably going to be Cody's with USC.
Yeah,
beating Michigan State.
they will not.
And Oral
meet
Roberts
matchup
getting past Duke.
because
It's
that is
not
what I
even gonna
predicted.
be
Therefore, it
either
will not
team.
happen.
Uh-huh.
I've got one more Vibe-alytics for you, actually.
Oh, good.
One that I don't think Brandon's going to like very much. So the only one seed that I see as, I guess I can't say that. So I will say that I think Kansas, this isn't the one I was going to say, has a kind of a difficult path because as soon as they make the Sweet 16, they have a potential date with either UConn or maybe St. Mary's. I think both of those teams could make a really deep run and pose a significant threat to them. But the one team other than Purdue that's a 1 seed that scares me a little bit because I want to go higher on them than I think they maybe should go is Houston. And let me tell you why. Houston has all the things that you would think would make a championship contender team. They have the best defense. You look at KenPom, they're like number 1, I think. The one thing that scares me, there's actually 2 things. One thing is they've only played 2 teams in the top 25. So that's significant. This isn't a team that's significantly battle-tested in the regular season. And that's something that I think has hurt them in past Marches. And that's the second thing that hurts me. My Vibe-alytics are off because I've been bullish on Houston in the past for having a championship quality defense, but this is a team that just doesn't quite have that battle readiness through the regular season to make a deep run. So do I think they make a significant run? Yes, but for a 1 seed, no. Something to keep an eye on. But I do not think that their path is as hard
that's
as
why
a couple other
think
1 seeds that we're seeing here.
Make that run is I think that their path is pretty nice.
Well, that's. I was just looking at a pick I had for the Sweet 16. Yeah, their path is actually really easy the way I had it mapped out.
Seeds,
so
like until they get into the Elite Eight, I think.
Ooh, some live sports updates. The play-in game is getting a good first taste of March Magic right now. 1 minute left, and Pitt is beating Mississippi State by 1 point.
I'm going to pull that
exciting.
Up. Ooh. That is very exciting.
All right. I think we got 2 topics really left to go into. Big Ten, which we've kind of covered, Purdue and Michigan State pretty good, but some of the other teams I'd like to talk about. And then we'll cap it off with our Final Four, because I know Brandon really wants to give his Final Four. Let's start with Brandon's darling, and honestly, I think it's a little bit
bounce in the first round.
Penn State. Brandon, that's so
wait.
sad.
Yes.
You guys both picked them to lose to Texas A&M?
No, I followed my heart hardcore on this bracket.
The magic has to come to an end at some point.
Okay.
The fact that they made that run in the Big Ten tournament, that they almost stole that game from Purdue, I think that they have been burning the candle at both ends. The wick is almost burnt out, and I think that they're going to get smacked by Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mentioned this from time to time. Just the streakiness of a team makes a team difficult to predict in March, but also difficult to have confidence in. And that's just a really tough matchup against Texas A&M. That's a team with a really stout defense. And you watch Texas or Penn State at times, they'll be hitting threes, and when they're not hitting threes, they'll get the ball into the hands of Pickett and just kind of watch him go to work. And that's going to work against some teams. I don't think that's going to work against a team with a defense like Texas A&M has. So that's one of those.
Also, Vibe-alytics. Last year, Texas A&M was that last team out where their coach, Buzz Williams, gave an impassioned speech about how terrible it was that his team was left out. They were furious, and I think even we were like, why did Michigan get in and Texas A&M didn't? And so I think this is their revenge year, their revenge tour, if you will, where they're going to show off and be like, yeah, leave us out again. Do it. And they're going to just stunt on these teams.
Texas A&M was a team that should have made it in regardless of Michigan being there. They had 20-plus wins, had a decent run in their conference tournament.
Yeah, they had 24.
Nobody was really
24 wins in the SEC, which is usually good enough. And Michigan had 18 wins, I think.
Oh yeah,
it's wait, what? How did we get in over them? So yeah, that's just my vibes. Is I think Texas A&M is going to come out with a vengeance, and unfortunately, I think Penn State, my chosen team, is going to pay the price.
I think part of me also just really wanted to see that Texas A&M and Texas matchup in the round of
Mhm.
32. Oh, is that going to be fun? And honestly, I could. Sorry, Glenn. I could see Texas A&M surviving that matchup as well. That one is going to be a heck of a battle, and I'm not really sure which way it's going to go.
Did we lose Travis? Yeah, we totally lost him.
I think we might. Yeah, we totally lost him.
Did we just
Well,
lose
shoot,
our?
this is his studio, so I hope.
All right, I guess we can pretend
it says
that
it's
we're
still
still
recording.
if it
I
is.
think so. All right, sick. So
Can he
maybe
get back
he joins
in?
us again, or maybe he doesn't, and it's just I do not know. We'll find out. All right, who we got next here? We already talked a little bit about MSU. Do we want to talk more about them, or move on to another Big Ten team? Okay. Yeah, so here's another team that can get really hot in a quick second. What do you think about the Iowa Hawkeyes?
I'm fading Iowa. I think that just like you just said so eloquently, that streaky teams are hard to predict to do well. They're the definition of streaky. They can have a night where they're going to score 90. They can have a night where they're going to score 110. They can also just go ice cold, and then they can get blown out by 20. So I'm fading Iowa. I'm hoping, keep my fingers crossed for a Fran outburst, but I do not have high hopes for Iowa. And historically, they have done nothing. They have done nothing in a tournament. So definitely not going to expect anything more than a first weekend exit from Iowa.
Yeah, I think one of you boys had Iowa in your Final Four last year.
That sounds familiar, but I honestly don't remember. It's probably blocked out. Yeah, it was Trav.
I think Trav did. Well, yeah, we're not getting anything from Trav right now, so that probably means he definitely had him in their Final Four. Here's another. I mean, also one other thing to note about Iowa: they play Houston in the second round. As long as Houston doesn't commit the second ever loss by a 1 seed against a 16 seed, so not a very favorable draw for them. We also have Indiana going up against Kent State in that first round. Sounds like all of us have them going against Drake in the round of 32. So really kind of poised for a decent run, potentially Sweet 16. But what do you think about their floor?
They can make a huge
ceiling?
run. But remember how I was talking about some of my thinking that I think someone's going to get upset. I'm not sure who, so I'm going to pick both upsets. I got Kent State going on. So I hate that pick because Trace Jackson Davis is awesome.
Okay.
But I think Indiana basically has Trace Jackson Davis and the point guard that I can never remember his name, the freshman, Hood Schifino. I think that Miller Kopp and Trey Calloway and the other power forward that I can't remember his name, I want to say Race Thompson. I think those guys are just
it's Race Thompson.
Good. They are not very good at basketball. And maybe it's because Trey Calloway and Miller Kopp are just, they look like they belong at a TSC parking lot. I don't know. But they are not that good of basketball players. And if you only have two guys, I just don't think you're a complete team. So I'm fading Indiana, even though I fully believe that they could make a Sweet 16 Elite 8 run. I'm going to fade them. Part of that's the Michigan thing. Like, when they play Michigan, I thought they looked bad. It's a Big Ten. I'm just fading the Big Ten.
Yeah, I think this has got to be the Big Ten team with the greatest amount of space between their floor and their ceiling. Talk about a great draw. Having Kent State, and then, maybe they play Miami, but the way I have it drawn up, they're facing Drake. That being said, I don't know if they make it past Drake into the Sweet 16. I do think between those two games, Indiana's going to stumble, whether that be in the first round or be in the second round. If they can survive those two, they're in the Sweet 16, and they're very winnable games. But as you mentioned, you can't really survive on just two players for too long. They both have to be playing at their A game if you want to continue to make a run in March. And so if they are both hot, they can hang with anybody. If they're not, their time is over. And so, again, they are one of the better of the streaky teams in the Big Ten, but ultimately, it's just not a team you can put a whole lot of faith in. So yeah, I'm fading Indiana as well. And I'm probably going to say that for most the Big Ten teams that we cover, even though I do have, I think, like 3 times the amount of Big Ten teams in the second round than you do, Bran. I don't have them going much further than that.
Hey, real quick, did it
seems like
keep
it
recording when I was
like
gone?
It did, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like it showed the recording at the bottom?
Yeah.
Okay, because my recording shows it's just at 3 minutes now.
We're at an hour
It shows
and
the
6.
timer going up and it says
And it
recording.
still says recording?
So.
Yeah. So I don't.
It was
internet
frozen
cut
on your
out.
face, and I just thought
Gotcha.
that you were
We'll see how that
really
goes.
intently listening, and then you just disappeared.
No, I didn't think a thing of it. And then Braden actually called attention to it, and I was like, "Oh, he is frozen."
I was so terrified
Yeah.
because it's 11:40 p.m. and I thought we just lost over an hour of work we did right there, and I was just like, "What are we?
Well, we still
what
could
are
have,
we gonna do?" Yeah, we still could have.
because I don't know how we're going to end the recording because it's like it's your studio,
Yeah.
but it says 3 minutes for you, so it's like I don't friggin' know.
Yeah. Well, fingers crossed. We might be talking to ghosts here to end it. So,
Yeah, so I guess maybe we'll wrap it up pretty quick. Let's see. We didn't talk about Maryland, but Maryland is like I don't even want to talk about Maryland. I'm fading them so hard. That said,
Wow.
I'm fading West Virginia even harder. So I could see Maryland getting to the round of 32, but then they play Bama. Again, assuming that Bama doesn't become the second ever first seed to lose to a 16 seed. Terrible draw for Maryland, but terrible draw for a borderline terrible team. They're not terrible, but they're so mid. So fading Maryland. Don't know if anybody has anything to add to that before we cover another Big Ten team.
yeah, West Virginia, I don't believe in either, which I could just be totally wrong, but they don't check the boxes for me. And Maryland also, they also don't. So that's going to be an interesting game, but I think Maryland has a bit more playmaking ability. Yeah.
2 more teams we should cover real quick. We got Illinois, who's another intriguing team because seemingly, well, I guess before the Big Ten tournament, I thought they had one of the highest ceilings of the Big Ten, or teams in the Big Ten. And then they reminded us exactly who they were and didn't even win one game in that tournament. Not exactly ending on a strong note to get into March. Where do you guys have them for their floor and ceiling?
Too far?
Okay. I can't wait to see all of our brackets. It's going to be just so neat.
I know. I keep clicking on our group. Shout out. Join our group, Jonesing for March Madness. It's on the ESPN Bracket Challenge.
Also on our Discord.
And Facebook and Twitter. But yeah, I agree. I've got Illinois losing to Kansas in the round of 32.
How many Big Ten teams do we have that would face a number 1 seed in the second round? Maybe just
At
2.
least 3. Or 3. I think
No,
3
it's
because we had
pretty sure it's 0 because they're not
a
going to
lot
get
of
out
8
of
and
the first
9
round.
seeds.
Yeah, it's 3. Oh, that's right.
That's the right answer.
What was that about us being too negative lately?
Illinois' got the length and shooting. Like, Matt Mayer has been there before with Baylor and was a big part of helping them extend their postseason. It's just, was it Brandon who said he couldn't quit Penn State? I don't like Illinois. I don't cheer for them actively.
Yeah.
But I can't quit them
I actually
thinking
said that
they're
about
better
them.
than they are.
I can't quit cheering for Penn State, but I can't quit thinking Illinois is going to be
it was Illinois.
one of the best teams in the Big Ten because talent-wise, they are one of the more talented teams. But yeah, they just don't. They rarely put it all together.
One more team we should mention real quick: the number 7 seed Northwestern.
Another team I have going too far. Northwestern.
But the real question is, do you have them going over UCLA or UNC Asheville?
Wow.
I have them beating UCLA.
Okay.
UCLA is another team.
Oh.
I'm glad you brought UCLA up because they have a little bit of injury troubles. Two of their stars are hurt. They still are a very good team. But, that's hard to change up your rotation. And they've done it pretty successfully. They're battle tested when it comes to March, and they're coached really well. But Northwestern, this could be a magic year for them. They don't get to this point very often, and they're here, and they got some star power. And it's probably my heart talking, but I have Northwestern losing.
I'm glad that you brought that up because I was
16.
I was trying to find it on my bracket. I must have fat thumbed it. I accidentally had them getting out of the first round. So Boise State, the 10 seed is gonna take them, is what I'm predicting. But actually, though, if they do, get past Boise State, there, UCLA is vulnerable because one of their best players is out for the year, and then another one of their starters, I think it's their center, hurt his shoulder in the conference championship and might not be able to go. It's kind of uncertain. But if he's limited, UCLA could be down two of their best players, and that could be that 2 seed we're looking for who's going to be fraudulent. So that could be a real nice path. And you know what? I don't believe in Gonzaga. They're never as good as you think, and they even had a down year. So if there's a path, I think that's a nice one for Northwestern. But unfortunately, I don't believe.
I do want to say this. I also don't believe in Gonzaga, but they are better than we were led to believe, I think. They still have talent.
They lost their conference.
They still have Drew Timme. And if you think about it this way, they also killed St. Mary's in their tournament. And St. Mary's is another tournament team here. Made St. Mary's look just like toads. On the flip side, Gonzaga has a cakewalk way. Like Grand Canyon, I love Grand Canyon University, best student section in college basketball. That's a cakewalk. Hopefully I jinxed it right there. And then TCU, the frog horns. Or we got Frankie Collins and ASU or Nevada. Like, I don't believe in any of those teams. And then if they get through there, it's Northwestern or UCLA. Gonzaga's going to cakewalk into the Elite Eight.
I just wish it was any 7 seed other than Northwestern. And that sounds pretty mean considering I'm cheering for Northwestern. In this tournament, they were one of my teams that I picked that I'm just going to be watching them intently. But Northwestern does not score points. They are not a gifted team offensively. And it's difficult to go on a run when you can't put points on the board. Looking at this section, the West, I think that's got to be the easiest pathway of maybe any of the regions. Having UCLA injury prone, Gonzaga, a shell of what they used to be. UConn, I think, is going to be pretty good, actually. But St. Mary's just got blown out by this Gonzaga team that Travis just mentioned. Not quite the same team that they have been in the past. So obviously you'll eventually have to go through Kansas unless Kansas slips up. But I don't trust in Northwestern. So I wish that that seed could have been given to Michigan State or somebody who could really make the full use of it. Because you could really see a low seed go on a run here in the West, but I don't know if we see it from Northwestern.
I know Texas is a 2 seed, but speaking of Kansas potentially slipping up, Texas clobbered Kansas in their conference tournament. And I know conference tournaments in the realm of March Madness just seem to not matter, especially in seeding. But that just shows anything is possible this year. Anybody can beat anybody, and if you got a cold shooting night and a hot shooting night from a small team, it's just the beauty of March Madness.
Well, on that note, do we want to go ahead and keep the people waiting no longer and share our final 4 picks?
Let's do it.
Alrighty. Well, I'd love to make Brandon start, but I'm not sure that'd be fair. So, Brandon, you want to go ahead and give us
All right,
your
and
final 4
remember,
picks?
Ohio sucks. Thanks, guys. We appreciate you hanging with us tonight, and we will see you next time.
All right, Trav, you go.
All right. I wish I could mute people in here.
Oh, that'd be great.
Oh, you know what? I probably can. Let's see. Yeah, keep doing that, Brandon. And he's
Hey,
gone.
got him. Wait, unmute him real quick. He's just losing his mind.
Oh, no.
If you're not watching this one on
I wish we
YouTube,
could hear him right now.
if you're not watching this one on YouTube, you're missing out from Brandon.
Hey,
just
you're the one who wanted to
going
summon
through an
a demon
exorcism
earlier.
over there.
Uh,
That's true. I finally got what I was hoping for all along.
I was trying to bait you so hard there, Bran, just to say something off the wall. But
Let's get
Well,
one more
come on
slur
now.
in here real quick.
here, I'll meet.
All right, fine. My final 4
All right,
picks.
final 4
that
picks.
I hate. I'm embarrassed. I got Houston. Big gasp there. Got Alabama.
Thought that.
I got Kansas,
Mhm.
my 3rd 1 seed. And I've got Duke. I hate it. This is my original Final Four. I filled it out like Travis said. I realized I had 3 1s and immediately wanted to restart. But I gave myself the night. I tried again the next day. I flipped a couple matchups in the first and second round. And ultimately, my Final Four was unchanged. So I'm devastated and embarrassed, and those are my 4. We lost Trav again. That's what he gets for making me say my Final Four. I kicked him out.
Well, he did send us a text. So the picks are in. And the final 4, according to Travis, we have Alabama, the Crimson Tide.
And
he freaking has Purdue.
And IU.
Oh, I didn't even see Indiana.
Hey, we shared 2 of our picks, Trav.
Oh, man. Pass me a hit of whatever
His
you're
last
on,
pick,
my guy.
Kansas.
Oh, Indiana?
In Kansas.
Sorry, that was disrespectful. Purdue and Indiana. Can you tell us a little about that? Because that is a little bit of that's a Trav bomb.
Yeah, it's a trap bomb that if it happens will be glorious. But it's March Madness, and I believe in Purdue a lot more than Brandon does.
When you
No
are
kidding.
watching them scratch and claw at the end of the game, and you're watching Fletcher Lawyer turn the ball over and Braden Smith crumble against the press, you will think to yourself, I should have listened to Brandon. However, I applaud you.
I'm gonna laugh at all of my picks. All of my picks are gonna be atrocious, most likely. That's March. But yeah, the Big Ten has struggled in March so much lately that this would just be such a funny
That'd be
slap to us all
crazy.
that they actually sent 2 teams to the Final Four.
Mm-hmm. The one year that nobody expects anything from the Mid-10.
Indiana too, like they could get bounced in the first round because they got Kent State, and I think they're gonna struggle in that game. But if they beat Kent State, they could beat anybody. They could lose to anybody.
Honestly,
If they beat
the
Kent State, they
Vibe-alytics
can beat anybody.
completely agree with that statement.
Quote of the night.
Preach. I love that. You want to know how many Big Ten teams I have in the Elite Eight?
Yes, please.
Oh, only
It's 3
three.
times what I have.
Okay.
Yeah, you knew that because I already said Michigan State.
Right. Okay, I was expecting 4, half of the Elite Eight.
But yeah, don't worry. I have none of them going to the national championship. My national championship is Alabama, Kansas, and I've got Bama taking
I sure hope
home
not.
the basketball championship this year.
No, I'm not worried at all, Trav. If anything, it's nice to see you give us a little bit of balance there. Those are some spicy picks, and I respect that. But also, while you were gone, Brandon and I spent that entire segment just pooing all over the Big Ten. So you help bring balance to the force of our pod with a
Honestly,
little bit of
rightfully
Big Ten positivity. Much needed.
That's what I'm here for. To probably be wrong, but to bring balance.
Well, unfortunately, I've heard Brandon poo all over his Final Four,
All right.
and our picks are
You
nearly
did it.
identical. Because I also have the Alabama Crimson Tide, the Kansas Jayhawks,
And then you
the
faded
Duke
Houston.
Blue Devils, and I have Texas.
I'm sorry, Code. Duke's getting
Probably.
bounced by Oral Roberts in the first round.
That's the one that scares me the most. I think
Yeah,
they
If
have
they
a
can beat Oral Roberts, they
massive-
can beat anyone.
That's right. They beat
Hey,
Oral
Rabbit.
Roberts, and the Vibe-alytics. The Vibe-alytics will be off the charts if they can beat Oral Roberts. They escape that track game, and the sky's the limit. But yeah, they got to beat Oral Roberts first, and they could lose that, and all of a
Man, I
sudden
was
my
thinking
bracket is shot.
That Travis and I had a similar bracket, and
So I
now
don't love
Cody
it.
and
Scares
my
me.
bracket are sounding like they're the same. So we have, yeah. Mm-hmm.
No, I think we all have a good mixture of each other's because you guys followed suit with each other's upset games. And then the ending of our brackets kind of started to look a little bit similar.
I just can't wait. Can it be Thursday at noon already?
Could only wish. But for you guys listening to this pod, you will only need,
Lucky
what, like a day and a half
freaking
left?
time travelers.
Lucky you guys.
Wait,
It's
what?
like time
How
traveling.
did you know I was going to say that? All right, let's get off this pod. It is freaking midnight on a weeknight.
It's midnight.
What am I doing? Why am I
Can you
still
guys
up?
tell?
I hope this pod actually comes
Yeah,
together.
that's on me. Sorry, guys. Yeah, I hope that this recording
Terrified.
actually. I hope people actually hear this.
Might be for the better with
That would
some
be
of the
pretty
things we
neat.
said.
That would be neat. Fingers crossed.
Who are we even talking to right now? Like
Hello?
our space versions of ourselves, like Matthew McConaughey on the other side, just banging through the library wall, just going, "No, no, they can't hear you. Go to sleep. The pod's not recording." No. That's who's hearing this pod. Not any of our viewers. It didn't record. This was all for nothing. And the world is probably going to end because we didn't listen to Matthew
Cheese
McConaughey.
on the spaghetti. Oh. Close this out, Code.
Did I miss something? Will people be able to all right, never mind. We're out of here. It's bedtime. Should be bedtime for you guys. Go to bed. Unless it's I don't know when you're listening to this. But thanks for listening regardless. And we look forward to living out every juicy moment of March with you guys in the Discord and in our next pod where we recap some of this sweet, sweet action. So thanks once again for joining us on another night, morning, afternoon, whenever you listen of the Jonesing for Sports podcast. We love you. Can't wait to see you in the next one. And just remember, Ohio sucks.
Oh,
Peace.
Stinks so bad.
crying.